What's going on, guys? Welcome back, a long overdue one at that, to our Surviving Bedrock series. Yeah, it's been, I think the last episode we recorded here is just when the Village and Pillage update dropped, and that is about nearly 2 months ago now actually. I've been spending a lot of my free time on the multiplayer server, and that has been doing pretty well. I've been enjoying it on there, but lately it's sort of started to die down. A lot of the other people have either built everything that they want to build at the moment, or it's just a general busy time because it's coming to the summer months, so people are spending a lot more time outside rather than indoors playing computer in their free time. So it's all understandable, but I thought I'd invest a little bit more time on our single player surviving world as opposed to the multiplayer world, because until it picks back up, I think I will probably be spending most of my time in my single player world, because there's still a lot of projects that I want to do. Now, as you can see, we are actually going to be playing this episode in the Chroma Hills HD texture pack, and after I probably record 1 or 2 episodes in this pack, and depending on how well I get on with it, on how easy it is to build with, because you don't really know how well you're going to get on with a texture pack until you've actually tested it out properly. But we're over here at our massive hostile and passive mob farm, and obviously since the new spawning mechanics came in, this thing has sort of it still functions. It still gets us the gunpowder that we need, just very slowly. Like as you saw there was a creeper or a zombie that just fell. I'm sure that we'll be able to tell by whatever drops come up, but it's probably very dark on YouTube looking down here at the moment, so I'm going to go sleep the night away quickly. And the reason that we're over here is with the new mechanics that came in, you have to be, what is it, within 54 blocks of an area for mobs to spawn. So the majority of this farm, obviously there was a lot more spawning space for mobs when the distance was pretty much as far as the simulation distance, which was, I think it was 4 chunks in each direction, which is what my simulation distance is set on. And yeah, so we've now only got a very small radius around us, which means what I want to do first of all is actually, we're going to have to build a little sort of AFK spot further down, because where we are now is well above 54 blocks from our slime spawning platform. So obviously the further down we get, then we want to sort of be in level with this ground level, and that way we get maximum spawns on that level as well as activating the slimes below. So it's a very quick easy fix, but I need to double check to see what level this platform's on. Hello little slime, you can go now. We are on level 15, so what's that, 60, so no higher than 69, otherwise it will be out of range, but technically we don't really want to be that high up, so I'd say about 60 or 55 should be an ideal range. So probably around about, say, here should be good. And that way we've got the spawns for the slimes there. As you can see, there's loads of them now spawning. And then we can just create just like a little spawn or a little AFK box. And not to mention, having it down here is less likely to get me aggro from the phantoms, because I've got a little glass box up there, and even though I've got a glass box up there, they are somehow glitching through and still managing to kill me, which is very fun, to be honest with you. Let's just do a little 3x3 box, and like so, and I think we should be all happy days here. Go over 1-2, 1-2 all round. And the reason how comes I'm testing out this texture pack is, if you don't follow the multiplayer series and you're watching this series, it is because I tested it out on there, and I actually quite like this pack. There are obviously a few blocks that I'm not overly keen with, but I think that's the same for even the vanilla textures. There's some blocks in that I'm not particularly keen with either. But this one I thought I'd give a go because I do really like it, and the armor looks awesome. The elytra looks even better. So yeah, just going to give it a go, see how it works out. The passive side of this mob farm is working brilliantly. As you can see, we're still getting all of the different drops come in. So we're getting all of the raw meats. But while we're over here, I thought that we could take on a bit of a project. Now, the whole point of me building this entire farm was to be able to get gunpowder in order to make rockets, in order to make our in order, yes, in order to make our lives easier on getting around, because a lot of my farms are sort of set pretty far away from one another, and sometimes I do enjoy just flying from place to place as opposed to taking the nether sort of tunnels. So instead of having to Sherpa paper back and forth from here, we've got a fair bit of gunpowder in here. Hopefully you'll get used to the little icons as opposed to what they usually look like that's leather, that's wall, and then you've got all the different meats, and we've got loads of slime balls. So yeah, what I want to do is actually build quite a large scale sugarcane farm over here, and I'm not too sure where to do it. We could probably do it. Oh, I don't want it over near our sorting system, that's the thing. But I could probably feed it into our sorting system. Maybe I can just have it like hovering directly above us. I think should work pretty well, which means we're going to need like a platform to work off of. And then we sort of wash all of the drops down to the centre and probably into the same tube. And get them feeding into... We've got one more spare chest, which is got a free filter on. So we can do it into there. So what should we build out of? Choices. Well, we've got a lot of the smooth stone, but I can't... This was all done before you had to smelt this normal stone into smooth stone. So I don't think I'm going to bother doing that, not unless I got a large quantity of it lying around. What are you? It's diorite. We've got some smooth stone slabs. Actually, we've actually got a fair bit, so let's just grab a bunch of these guys. And we could just build a platform directly above us. And yes. Okay, well let me get a platform built, and once I've got my stuff sort of set out and ready to start working, I'll bring you back. So we've got a bit of a working platform now to begin our project on, and we've got our redstone chests out, and I'm just trying to figure out the logistics. Oh, wrong thing, I wanted to eat. I've shot myself twice with arrows being up here already, by the way, just by doing that. I should not have my food next to my bow. Never a good idea with me. So we want a sticky piston, and then we are also going to need some dirt. Oh. Where are you? We've got tons of resources over here that we just haven't got the room for back at base at the moment. So I'm fairly sure in the coming weeks I will... Oh my god, having a elytra on using scaffolding can be a right pain sometimes. So I'm fairly sure in the next few coming weeks, as I was saying, I will be getting around to doing a fully new sorting system in this world, because I really do need the sort of room for it. We're going to want a couple of blocks sort of breathing room, just so that we can sort of work around it. So we need to make sure also the slime blocks aren't going to hit one another. Let's just grab, because we're going to need some room underneath in order to get all the drops to the right location. So we're going to need a block or two in order to do the waterways, is what I wanted to say. And say we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then that'll be 10. Then bring these guys up. And then bring that guy up. And then we could do the same for here. And obviously the dirt is where our sugarcane's going to be going. Oh, and I knew that was going to happen. It was bound to at some point. And then we'll just keep on running this guy all the way around. So then we end up with just sort of like a tower sort of design, with all of it getting pushed into the middle. So after that we're going to want... Going to be going very sort of minimalistic on this one. We're going to want it there. No, that's where we're probably going to want our sticky piston to go. So what my plan is to have sticky pistons like so, and then to save on resources, what we are going to want is some slime blocks, and we're just going to be using tons of slime blocks. I'll get back up here. I left my scaffolding in the box for some reason. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. And then obviously we can't have any blocks near the slime blocks, otherwise they're going to stick to it. And then behind the sticky pistons we're just going to have a redstone torch tower. And I'm thinking of leaving this all very sort of open, so that way when it all fires it all just goes flying into the middle, and then we can have a sort of waterway collection system just pushing all of the items to a central point for them to drop down into. I think should work out. Hopefully, he says, fingers crossed. But what I'm going to do is, this is literally how minimalistic this is going to be. I'm just going to be pillaring up these side bits here and obviously taking out the blocks in between. So where we have this guy here, we can go up by 1 more. Going to have to go up by 2 more, aren't we? And then we're going to need dirt on us. And of course I put the rockets in my offhand. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we could bring up this guy. Is it that height that we want it? Sticky pistons. I need to get used to what the little different icons are in this pack as well. Okay. Like so. But we can't obviously have these blocks coming all the way up the sides because the sticky piston will get stuck to them. I'm trying to think of what blocks that the sticky, well not sticky pistons, the slime blocks will get stuck. I can't really remember which ones, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to tower these guys up pretty high actually, considering that I've got ridiculous amounts of slime balls down below and it's taking only one sticky piston per line. I reckon I could go up by at least around about 15 or 20 levels depending. I think build limits are what, 253, so I don't think I'll be going up that high, but I'm just going to see how high I can get and I'll bring you back. Okay, so it took me around about half hour, 45 minutes to build up all the platforms. There's 150 growing spots on each one. They're 15 high up each. And that is 600 growing spots, which I think should be fairly decent. I'm not expecting an overproduction of sugarcane, but we are missing one glaringly obvious thing if you've ever tried to farm sugarcane before. And I made a proper newbie mistake and completely forgetting about it when building this, is I came along here with the sugarcane, couldn't figure out why it wasn't planting, and then I completely forgot that you need water next to the blocks. So yeah, trying to think of a way of having to avoid putting water behind every single section of these, and I think I may have come up with like a proper cheesy way of doing it, and that is by having just water flowing down the front. Now I did quickly hop into a redstone test world to see how far the bamboo shot by getting hit by the slime blocks, and they do shoot pretty far, so I'm a little bit worried that the sugarcane might go flying across into the other water coming down, and because no matter if the water is flowing down, the items are not automatically going to flow down into the water streams down below. It's more than likely going to get caught in the water and then start floating back up. So depending on how far the slime blocks actually launch the sugarcane, we may have to put in a glass barrier in like a cuboid sort of fashion inside of here. But in order to get this sort of water situation done, we're going to have to create a little sort of holding area up top and a little section down below to catch the water, if that makes sense. So what's the easiest way going to be able to do this? What sort of blocks have we got here? We've got some polished andesite still, so let's go and grab, so we're going to want the water to sort of be trapped inside this square anyway, and then it's going to be coming down here. I'm not too sure if scaffolding washes away in water. I know that you can waterlog scaffolding, but I don't want to go breaking the scaffolding yet either, that's the thing. And I really don't want the water to go flowing outwards because on one of the sides it will wash away all of our redstone. Yeah, so we definitely don't want to go in there. What's the easiest way for us to test this? I think the easiest way is for us to sort of do this and just make sure that it doesn't wash that away. Yeah, as long as the water gets confined in here, we should be alright. I'm going to build the little holding cells up top to actually bring the water down, and we'll see how it works. So it's the moment of truth here now. I've managed to build up a little sort of barrier up here at the top, and we just want an infinite water source because you can't just place ice in these and break it, because the ice actually has to be on a solid block in order for it to flow. So we've just sort of built it up too high, that way the water will go straight down, rather than it going down one block and then spreading out. I'm not too sure if we're going to have to fill every individual one, but I think every other one should be alright. So if we just go around and do this, how are we looking? Doesn't seem to be spilling out anywhere. Otherwise it could take out a lot of stuff down there if it does. So we're just going to keep on going, just double check to make sure. Okay, so let me do this and we'll see how it looks at the end. Okay, all the water's gone down, but it is now fully night time, so it's going to be hard to see anything down there. So let's just fly on down below, quickly grab some shut-eye, and then we can head up, and it looks like that we've got no spillage anywhere. So it looks like we are sort of safe. He says, question mark. Okay, let's hop on up. Now, is all of this water still just flowing straight to the centre? Because if it is, that could actually be quite handy. Could save us a lot of hassle in sorting out water streams. But we're going to have to see how it all sort of acts and behaves once we've got the sugarcane in. Granted that we can actually plant sugarcane. Let's just make sure. I didn't actually double check this, but no time like the present, I guess. Fingers crossed again. Can we plant you with water flowing down? Yeah, we can, so we can plant this. So I'm going to go ahead, plant it all, get the redstone works in the back done, because until I see how the sort of firing mechanism, see how far the sugarcane goes, I don't really know what to do with the collection until I've done that. There's some blocks here, but it looks pretty cool anyway, if anything. Yeah, so let me crack on with this and I'll catch you back in a bit. So guys, I made a bit of a derp. I recorded an entire section of about 5 minutes worth of recording of me sort of testing it up there and then fixing it and whatnot. And I had my mic on mute the entire time, so I'm not too sure if any of that footage is really going to be usable. Yep, a little bit of a derp on my part. That's 2 for this one episode I've managed to do. But on the plus side, it's all built and up and running, but I can quickly show you what's going on up there. If we can, they're not rockets, they're redstone torches. Have I got any rockets? Did I put my rockets way in here again? I've done it twice already. And yep, there's my rockets. I keep on keeping hold of the redstone torches and putting away my rockets. Oh, I need to get used to the like pictures in this one. If we head on up over here, we could just shoot hopefully down into the bottom. Oh, no, and we missed. Let's try again. And there we go. Okay, so what I've ended up doing is basically I tested it and the sugarcane was flying all the way across the other side, landing on this side and actually shooting through the back. So I've had to put up a massive big glass barrier wall. If you're wondering how comes the glass is completely clear, that is because of I've stained it white. In this texture pack, when you stain glass white, it comes through as being pretty much completely transparent. And I thought I really liked the look of that, so I've put that up in the middle. And then I've got it running off of a standard EFO hopper clock running into a monostable circuit, which is pretty much just an observer watching it. It is a very stable monostable circuit. Usually the observer will send 2 signals, but I've got the observer actually just looking at 1. And I knew that I was never going to make that. I've got the observer looking into the actual redstone block, and basically it's only sending a 1 tick pulse every single time it moves, as opposed to it reading a signal off of a redstone line. because when it reads a signal off a redstone line, it will basically read it twice as a signal coming in and then a signal stopping. This one's just one movement there, it will read it, one movement back, and it will send just one tick pulses into the redstone torch tower. So there we go, and then that all kicks off. It all gets funneled down to the middle. I've got some signs there to break up the water, and then the items then get funneled into our water stream, which has all of our other mob drops coming in, and then it feeds through to our sorting system. So it's all happy days. I did have it running for around about 20 minutes or so, and we've already got quite a bit of sugarcane. Now, considering that a total time of putting it up and getting it all functioning, see, it's actually kicking out quite a lot because it's got 600 spots of growing up there. So I'm getting a fairly decent amount coming in a fairly short amount of time, considering that sugarcane does grow incredibly slowly. But let's get a bit of an aerial view of it. And it doesn't look half bad actually. I may well go ahead and put some form of a structure over it, because at the moment it does look very like bare bones. But considering it only took, what, a total of I think 3 hours to completely put up, and considering that I didn't have to do any messing around with putting water behind every single section of it, probably saved me, I forgot I put glass there, probably saved me the better part of around about an hour and a half worth of work, just by whacking the water straight up top and letting it flow all the way down. It was a lot easier to do, rather than fiddling about sorting out water for every individual section. And yeah, as you can see, like the clear glass I've got behind our nether portal as well, and it is really, really clear. I'm very tempted to try using it in some sort of an aquarium build. But yeah, this is the Evo hopper clock. Obviously it looks a lot different in this texture pack, but it's very bog standard. 2 hoppers facing into one another, comparator either side into a block. And then when items in the hoppers go from one side to the other, sends a signal, pushes the piston, moving the redstone block in front. And you can use this for 2 separate signals going off in different directions if you so wish to. But it's a very handy hopper clock to use, or very a very handy clock to know and use. I use it in quite a lot of my builds, and the primary reason for me using this so often is because it does not break when you unload and reload the area. I don't know why it doesn't, or the only thing that you got to be wary of is that if you put the 2 pistons on chunk borders, so if one piston is out of a chunk and then the other one's inside of a chunk, it will sometimes delete the redstone block. That is the only issue I've ever run into using that clock. So you just need to make sure that if you are using it, to put it inside of one chunk. But yeah, as opposed for the time in this episode, I think we're pretty much done. I think we've got quite a lot done for one episode, and you're going to have to let me know if you're enjoying me working in this texture pack or not. I know that I'm enjoying it, barring the little faux pas that I'm having here and there, getting used to the little symbols of what the items are. But to set ourselves off, we can grab, say, 9 of these and make an absolute ton of paper. If I had a crafting bench somewhere, can I have a crafting bench if you have one? Got soul sand, got everything but a crafting bench. I moved all of my stuff around. I did used to have all of my crafting bench and furnaces over here, but I had to make room for the redstone shenanigans. So where is an ender chest? Ender chest, you can go just there for a second. Got any craft? Yeah, we've got a bunch of crafting tables. There we go. And get some paper. Lots and lots of paper. And then we get our gunpowder. And then we can make loads and loads of rockets. But in order to do this, let's get our little fireworks chest out. Like I saw. And don't want to make firework stars. Let's just make tons of firework rockets. Throw these guys in here, because I was desperately running low, and I've changed my sugarcane farm back at base for the bamboo. So I really did need to get one of these up and running. Oh, look at that, all of them rockets. I can fly around for days. But not before repairing my elytra. They are pretty busted up at the moment, so got to be a little bit wary of that. But yeah, we are now healthy and stocked. I'm just going to keep the rest of the paper in here for now. And we also have paper for making books because we've got all the ingredients down here to make books because we're getting absolute tons of leather coming in from the passive mob drops from the farm. But yeah, as for today's episode, I think that is going to do it. But let's get some light in our lives before we end the episode off. And yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed today's episode and hopefully the little faux pas on my part will be forgiven. I do apologise again. And let's take the helmet off. There we go, so you can see me properly. Yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed today's episode and hopefully catch you all in the next one. Bye bye.